Hello everybody, this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today we're going to make an artist trading card. Now, what is an artist trading card? Well, it's just simply a card that you make to trade, just like people used to trade baseball cards or such things. Now, there's only a couple rules that I've been able to find about trading cards on YouTube and different places, mostly YouTube, and those two rules are this: the size and that you can't sell them. So the standard size for an ATC card, artist trading card, is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So, and then you can't sell them. So that sounds pretty easy. So I have taken a manila file folder that I had picked up. I had picked up a package of them at the dollar store, and I cut one manila file folder into ATC cards. Now, the reason I chose that is because I wanted the color, the manila color, for some of the things that I'm going to do on it. And then I also wanted something a little sturdier. Now, because these are a dollar store find, I discovered they're not quite as sturdy as I would have liked, but they're still, by the time I'm done, they end up being quite sturdy. So I cut my manila file folder down to, as I said, 2.5 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. And in one folder, just your standard file folder, I was able to cut 17 of them by turning the paper different ways. So then I went through my stash, and of course I went through my paper scraps instead of regular paper, and I went through my purple pack. I didn't even get any other pack out. I went through my purple pack, and I came up with all different kinds of purple scraps so that I could use up some of the things that I had. This is a great scrap project, just so you know. We all have a stash. I was cleaning my stuff today, and I noticed what a stash I have, and I have to admit I was really tempted to just throw it all out and call it good, and I decided no, I can't do that, because as soon as I do, I know that I will need a scrap. And then I decided to do this project. But I'll tell you, sometimes the scraps can be a bit overwhelming. So on one side, I'm going to adhere my purple scrap. Now you'll notice that I've got kind of some overhang here, and I'll just trim that up. These don't have to be perfect, and each one of them can be different. I mean, if you wanted to make 20 of these and wanted to make every single one of them different, that would be fine. Mine obviously are going to be a little bit different from each other, but they've got the same basic idea. So we're going to come back to this purple side, because this is the side that I plan to have all the fun on. But I'm going to have fun on this side too, of course. So for the back, I've chosen several stamps. I wanted this card to be a reflection of my blog and of things that I love, and if you've been here for any time at all, you'll know that some of the things that I love the most when it comes to the crafting world, of course, is my K. Andrew design stamps, I love my K. Andrew design stamps. I have lots of sets of these. And that actually is for, I will be using this set on the purple side. This particular set is the Crafty Friends set. And this is the first time I've used this, but I thought this is just perfect for that. And we'll come back to what we're doing on that. Now, the other thing that if you follow my blog, you know that I really love is Tim Holtz. All of his products that I found, well, probably not all of them, but most of his products that I found I really love. So I'm using two different Tim Holtz sets today. The first one I'm going to use is kind of a surprise out there. This is the Joyful Song Christmas set, and I'll show you the stamp that I'm using from that in just a minute, but it's a background stamp. It's kind of a crackly background stamp. Now you'll notice this is cut up. I've changed the way I store stamps, and once I finish getting them all organized, I'll show that. But for now, we'll just leave that like that. The other set that I'm using from Tim Holtz is this set that I just picked up the other day on a clearance rack, which you don't find very often, and this is the Playful Journey set. And I'm just using this phrase right here. It says, "Time is a companion that goes with us on the journey. It reminds us to cherish each moment because it will never come again. What we leave behind is not as important as how we lived." So I'm going to use that. And then I have this Lost and Found 2 set. This is the Princess Blush set. And I'm using actually 2 sets from this stamp. I'm using butterflies, which I do like butterflies. My mom and one of my sisters especially like butterflies. But I like them. They just not quite as much as they do. And then the other thing is this dress form. And I really like the vintage feel of that. I think it reminds me of kind of a Tim Holtzy feel. But I also... probably one of the earliest crafts I did outside of school and kindergarten was I sewed, and I have made many things, so that also is kind of a reflection of me. So let's get started on this. Now the ink color that I've chosen to start with is Frayed Burlap Distress ink, and that's what we're going to use on our background stamp. Now unfortunately, no matter which way I turn this background stamp, I couldn't figure out how to get it, the whole thing stamped in one stamp. It just did not work. So I kind of turn it here. Now on some of the cards that I did, I actually stamped this. I would do the same stamp twice before re-inking, but the second one was pretty faded out and I didn't want that to happen. So I'm going to just wipe that off so we can set it aside. I found some old stamps today when I was doing some cleaning, and I'm a lot pickier now about keeping my stamps clean, I think, than I used to be. Now this looks nice, but I found that I really like that extra touch of distressing the edge. If you've never distressed the edge, it just gives your projects just a little bit better finished look, and that's, I am looking for this finishing off this edge. When you look at it, you may not have even realized it wasn't there until you put it on, and then you go, wow, that's exactly what it needed. So that's the back of our card. It looks like I need to do just a little bit more trimming, just because I've got a little more overhang there than I would like. There we go. And then what I want to do is I've pulled out my Dusty Concord. Now, I'm just going to talk as I stamp these. I thought about, you know, it would add more dimension and more interest to the project if I stamped it in different colors. I could even add a layering effect, but I decided I just wanted the simple purple part of it. So I just am going to stamp all my images on the back side in the purple color, in the Dusty Concord. Now I also wanted to talk to you about what it kind of inspired me to do this project. I've seen ATC cards out there, and quite frankly just haven't had time to add another project to my ever-growing list of things I want to try and do. But yesterday I was in Hobby Lobby with my mother-in-law, and we were discussing a purchase. I about stamped that upside down. We were discussing a purchase that she was getting ready to make, and she was purchasing some stamps, and I was telling her kind of some ideas and kind of what I thought about the stamps and kind of giving her some direction. And I heard this lady behind me say something, and her little girl was there, and I thought she was just talking to her little girl, and then I realized she was talking to me. And she was like, you sound like you know a lot about what you're talking about. This is what a project I want to make. Which ink pad do I want to buy? And so I turned around and showed her the Tim Holtz distress pads, which what she was wanting to do was more of a distress type project. And so she said thank you, and I was so frustrated with myself because I thought, oh, that is a potential blog follower, but I didn't have anything to point her to my blog. And I thought, you know what, I need to come up with something to be able to show people that I have a blog, people that I just come into contact with, and a way to remember it. I mean, djsundry.blogspot.com is a bit complicated to remember for somebody you just saw in the store. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do some business cards. I have some, and then I'll just kind of ink them up and make them look nice and just print my blog name on the card. And then I thought of the ATC, and so that's why I settled on those. So this is the back side or the front side, depending on how you look at it, of the ATC. And if you'll notice, I just hand wrote in there John 3:16, just because I just wanted to add that as a special extra dimension. So now we're going to go to the other side, and this is where we get my K. Andrew design stamps in. Now this Crafty Friends set is a fabulous set. Now I set mine up already. I went through and I lined it up and set it on my blog, on my stamp block right the way I wanted it. And I decided that since this is purple on this side, and I played around with a lot of these, that instead of using purple on the back, I wanted to use my black. And I have to tell you, I love the way the trial ones turned out in black. And this stamp set stamps so fabulously. You'll see that when I do that with the Bloggy Friends. I really like the clean lines of the Bloggy Friends. So let's stamp that down. And definitely clean that up, because it seems like that Excelsior black pad really can stain things up. As evidenced, I've had this pad for years, and when I was going through my old stamps, and a lot of them are black. So this says, "Follow me, Bloggy Friends." Isn't that so clean? I just love that, the way that Bloggy Friends just pops right out at you. Now, one thing I did fail to mention because I was talking is I have this Micron pen. I think it's a 0.05, and it's just one I picked up at a bookstore. But I thought the purple was a perfect match for the Dusty Concord. And the other thing I want to do before I do anything else on the back is I want to take my Dusty Concord, and just like I used the faded burlap on the other side, I want to ink the edges on this side. Now with this particular card, it shows up a little bit more purple because it's a bigger contrast. I don't mind that. I still like the way it looks. So it says, "Follow me, Bloggy Friends," but we're not quite done yet. I have this other Micron 0.08 pen, and on that, or maybe it's not point, maybe it's just size 08. Now I'm going to write my blog name, www.djsundries.blogspot.com. Now, another thing that I wanted to do is I've just put my name up here and just kind of signed it. And then I also wanted to add down here the Getting Cricky design team. So, Getting Cricky Junior design team. Now, I haven't written that big on some of the others, but you know, there's no rules. Remember what I said, and we'll just kind of go around the edge of the card. Now, I thought about adding some dimension, just some interest. I sprayed some flowers, and then I didn't like the way it looked. But also, I like the fact that it's flat, so that when I have blog hops and do blog candy, or I can carry them in my purse, and they won't add any dimension, and it will survive a little bit better in the purse. So this is my ATC. Now I may do more later and do a little bit more variety, but these were pretty much the same. As you can see, I chose different papers. I mean, the only thing really besides the stamps that I used that were the same is my blog. I tried different ways of laying it out in different colors. I even tried different stamps. Like this one, I used the black handwriting. On this one, there's another one in here that I wrote out part of John 3:16 here. And this one, I didn't put the butterfly down here, and I added an extra verse. So it was just some different fun ways I chose to do it. So thanks for watching. I hope this will inspire you to try making ATC cards, and you never know, maybe sometime you'll win some blog candy and get one of these trading cards from me. So thanks for watching, and have a great day. Okay, if you're seeing this part of the video, that means what I'm about to do works. So I was cleaning up my mess after making my ATC cards, and I was wondering what I was going to put my stack of ATC cards in. And I went to the drawer where I keep plastic things, and I found these little muslin bags that I had purchased from Gifts International quite some time ago. So we're going to try to stamp on this and see how well it does. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of scratch paper to put on the inside because I don't want it to bleed through. And I'm using the Kandra Designs Crafty Friends set again, and I'm using the phrase ready, set, blog this. And so I'm going to try with my Excelsior die pad. And the reason I chose this one is it's just one of the best pads that I have that I think might work on fabric. I'm not sure how well. I've never tried doing, well, anything on fabric, but definitely not the distress pads. So we're going to see. Okay, there's one issue. Let's see if I can come down a little bit. The knot, I probably should have chosen a smaller block. Now I am mashing, being careful not to rock it, but to match it to see if it did. It worked. Ready, set, blog this. So it may take a little bit longer than paper to dry, and it's not real colorful, but I'll at least know what's in the bag when I see it. And I don't think they'll all fit, but we'll see. Maybe they will. And I won't be able to tie the bag, but I don't care about that. Actually, and I may make another bag so that I can just have one here for some of them, and then I'll do another one. We'll do another one to take so I can just carry it in my purse or my work bag. So let's see what happens when we try to do this with distress ink. Let's see how well the distress ink will stamp on the fabric. Now I have used inks on canvas, so it's probably the same concept as the muslin. It's a little bit looser weave, but it's probably the same concept, so theoretically it should work. So let's try again. Of course, let's pull out my Dusty Concord. I hadn't put that away yet. Ready, set, blog this. Let's move it down just a little bit. And just really press it good, making sure that I'm not rocking it again. There we go. It worked again. Ready, set, blog this. Since we're just having fun playing, let's just distress the bag. That'll give it a little bit more of a finished look. Now I could get a smaller stamp and maybe stamp some stuff on the top, but I think instead what I'll do is I'll just kind of blend that in just like so, and then maybe I'll do some on this set. There we go. So it's not quite as black or purple, whichever the case may be, as you would normally see in your stamp projects, but it worked great for just working it on canvas. I know it works, and we'll have to experiment some more and see what else we can do with these canvas bags. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.